Welcome to Digital Marketing Orientation module. In this lesson, we will talk about what is digital marketing and what is its scope. Now let's talk about what we would be doing in today's session. There's a lot of things that we'll be covering. We'll start with the basics. We'll start with what is digital marketing, why digital marketing is gaining importance, where digital marketing is used for businesses across all verticals. We will look into various digital marketing techniques which are very common at this point of time. We'll make sure that you become comfortable with all the basic terms related to digital marketing. We'll look into the role that digital marketing has to play in the entire customer lifecycle journey. We will also try to compare digital marketing with traditional marketing and see what are the benefits of digital marketing. We'll also look into who should be learning digital marketing and who should not be learning digital marketing. And I will also share with you some of the frequently asked questions related to digital marketing. So that's something we would be doing in this particular lesson. A lot to be covered, so let's get started. We'll start with the basics. So first and foremost, what is digital marketing? Now, like any marketing discussion, we have to start with the people you want to target, your target audience. They could be your customers, they could be your potential employees, they could be the influencers in your space, or they could be any other segment whom you want to reach out and serve. So let's assume on this screen we have everybody out there on the planet, right? So when you would start your marketing campaign, the first thing that you do is you try to identify the set of people you want to target, and you try to create that segment using various parameters. It could be age, it could be location, it could be their interests, it could be their behavior, it could be their income level, but you try to sort of create a set of parameters that exactly identify the kind of people you are interested in, and that will be there in all marketing campaigns. What you do when you market something, you actually serve them. Marketing is no more limited to promotion. It's no more limited to you communicating something to them. It includes you creating product and services for them. It includes you really serving them. So that's what marketing has become. What is really digital marketing? It's about doing the same thing using digital technology. And when I talk about digital technologies, I'm primarily talking about all those channels that are on internet. There are some activities like SMS marketing, which is also considered to be part of digital marketing, but most of the other activities involve internet in performing all the digital marketing techniques. The problem is there are actually hundreds of such channels, and each channel is unique in itself, right? There's nobody who's an expert in all of them. To leverage these channels, there are equally good number of techniques. There's search engine optimization, there is search engine marketing, there is social media marketing, content marketing is becoming very popular these days. Inbound marketing, which is relatively new, is becoming very prominent. Influential marketing, marketing automation. And that is becoming like a problem. Why it's becoming a problem is because it's not possible for anybody to master all of them. Each technique is an ocean in itself. You need a lifetime to master them. And that's the reason people are really confused about it. So what we are going to do is we're going to now go a little deeper into the world of digital marketing. But before we do that, there's one thing that I want you to think about. And in your own word, why do you think people are so confused about digital marketing? And it's about people who wants to build career in digital marketing space, people who are looking for some vendor to take care of their digital marketing initiatives. In fact, people who are already in digital marketing and they've been exposed to a particular segment of digital marketing and they're really confused what digital marketing can do. So in your own thinking of all that I have explained so far, just do this thinking. You can write it down on a piece of paper. You can stop this video right now, and if you want to discuss it out, share your opinion. Let's move on. Let's now look into why is digital marketing gaining importance. The first and the foremost reason is the amount of time people are spending on digital is increasing on daily basis. There was a recent news on bbc.com that the time spent online has overtaken television among youngsters. So this was a UK news, but I think the similar pattern is being observed in other geographies also, including India. And this is like a major change, right? There were times that we used to talk about the number of people online. Now it is no more just restricted to creating an account. It's about the actual time spent, and the actual time spent on online medium is now overtaken the mainstream medium, and that's a big news. So that's one of the reasons that digital marketing is gaining importance. Another reason why digital marketing is gaining importance is changing consumer buying behavior. What you see on the screen is a typical marketing funnel that has been used by more than a century now. It represents various psychological stages that every customer has to walk through. From a stage of becoming aware of their problem and the list of products or services that can actually serve them, to a stage that they start showing consideration to a particular product group, to a stage that they start showing preference to a particular brand or a particular model, to a stage that they really take an action, which in most of the cases buying a product, to a stage that they really like their product and now they've become loyal to the brand, so that every time they're really thinking about it, they are having the same problem, they're going back to the same brand. Now there is a new layer that has been added. Can you guess what that layer is? That is a layer of advocacy, and which is there because digital media ensures that every person has a list of followers of their own. So because of that, everybody is advocating about the product and services that they're using, which are actually helping businesses to further feed in to other psychological stages, primarily awareness, then even at the consideration in the preference stage. It is helping businesses to ensure that communication is reach out to further potential audience. Now what is really happening? What is the change in the buying behavior that is really happening? The change is that rather than consumer depending on businesses to provide them relevant content, relevant information to move forward, they are actually self-educating themselves. That is one of the major change, self-educating themselves. And that is where online plays a major role. So while the user is out there to self-educate themselves, as a business, we need to make sure that we are there. While they are searching for us, we need to make sure that we are there on search engines. While they are actually looking for reviews, we need to make sure that we are there on all the review sites. While they're actually checking out price on various marketplaces, various price comparison shopping sites, we need to make sure that we are there. And while they're actually asking their users, their friends for the reviews, we need to make sure that we are giving them enough opportunities to our existing users to communicate about us. So, and that's where the role of online digital marketing as such is increasing. Now, before we move forward, there's something that I would like all of you to do. What you need to do is you need to just think how your media consumption behavior, especially related to digital, has altered in last 2 years. What sort of channel you were consuming 2 years back, what sort of a channel you're consuming right now, in terms of the time spent, the frequency, how is it that it has altered in 2 years? Because the same change you would be seeing in the people you want to target. So it's very, very important that you really get present to how digital media, digital channels usage is being changing. So stop this session right now, do that thinking, write it on a piece of paper and come back, and then we will move forward. Okay, so now let's look into various digital marketing techniques that businesses are using to fulfill their objective. In fact, before we start looking into techniques, let's first try to understand what are users really doing in an online space. And to understand that, what you can do is you can actually look into your online behavior. What do you do when you go online? So what we do when we go online, one of the things we do is that we search for information, or we go to various social media channels and try to consume the content that is being posted by our friends and people we follow, or we go check our emails, right? And a lot of us actually go to various websites. It could be some news websites or some particular portals that we are comfortable with, or some blogs that we follow. Or for a lot of us, our touch point with online is actually mobile app. In fact, it is increasingly shifting to mobile app for most of our objectives as a user, right? So what we do is that once we open our mobile phone, we see various notifications, and that helps us to as a trigger point to reach to various mobile apps which we consume. So these are the top set of an activity which we do when we go online, right? Our customers would be doing the same. Now let's look into what sort of a technique can be used to target those users while they are doing these activities. First and foremost is the search. So first, let's try to look into how do we capture search as a behavior. When we are talking about searching, the channel that we can't ignore is Google, right? And there are two ways to attract people on Google. One is known as SEO, which is search engine optimization. Another technique is known as SEM, which is search engine marketing. Now, what is this SEO and SEM? If you search anything on Google, there are two kinds of results that get displayed over there. One set of results which you see up on the top will have this word ad in front of them. Ad, ad, ad. On this particular page, you can see there are 4 of them. These are the sponsored results. These are the advertisements. How do you make sure that your website comes up on top over here is something that you learn when you learn about search engine marketing. Google is actually based on the advertisement model called PPC. What is PPC? PPC is pay per click. Once you're running an advertisement on the PPC model, you pay for clicks. You don't pay for getting your ad displayed. That is the number of impressions of your ad. You don't pay for impressions, you pay for click. So for example, in this case, if your customer is searching for property in Delhi and these 4 results shows up, and the user actually clicks on this link, which is from 99 acres, so the 99 acre will have to pay for it. These 3 advertisers will not pay for it, only 99 acre will pay for it. This advertisement model was initially invented by Google. Now it has been used by most of the online publishers, including Facebook and LinkedIn. And the listing that you see just below these ads, these are organic listing. These are organic listing. And how do you make sure that your website comes up on top in organic listing is something that you learn when you learn about search engine optimization. Let me demonstrate it to you using the actual search. So I'm actually going to google.com, and right now I've just searched for this keyword called property in Delhi. And as you can see over here, I can see that there are 30 million results. Now, what do you mean when we say that there are 30 million results? That means close to 30 million web pages have this phrase property in Delhi in different forms on them. Now, when you're working as a search engine optimization, you have to make sure that you're among the top 1 or top few pages as per Google among all the pages which has this word property in Delhi in it. So here, if you see over here, the best job is being done by 99 acres. Forget about these top results right now. These top results are actually ads which is been run using the technique called search engine marketing, and this is the results from search engine optimization. The first one is 99 acres, the second one is Magic Bricks, and the third one is Makaan.com. So these three organizations have done really good job in ensuring that they get listed up on top. Now, what is the value that 99 acre would be getting out of it? So for that, you really need to understand how many people are really searching for it. Now, that's very, very critical. How many people are really searching for it, right? You can actually use, there is a tool called Google Keyword Planner. If you use Google AdWords, you will get free access to the tool Keyword Google Planner. How Google Keyword Planner helps you is it actually gives you the monthly search volume. So you can actually search for any keyword on Keyword Planner. So for example, I've searched for property in Delhi, and it is helping me understand that how many people have actually used this keyword, which is property in Delhi. Close to 1,000 to 10,000 people. Why there is a range? Because somebody might be using Delhi property, somebody might be using property of Delhi, and so if I combine all the keywords which are related to property in Delhi, then it adds up to anywhere between 1,000 to 10,000 odd people. So that's the number of people who are actually searching for this keyword in India, right? So if, for example, let me just go back to the search page. If I do a very good search engine optimization job and I make sure that my website is listed up on top, like what 99 acres have done, they would be getting close to 10,000 people would be viewing that ad. A good percentage of them would be clicking on this ad, since they are the first result in the organic listing category. So they're getting all those visitors for free now, and they are the high potential visitors for them. They are in the same business, and for the relevant contextual keywords that their customers are using, they've got their website listed up on top. So that's the value that search engine optimization can provide. If you can get your website listed up on top, if you represent a business and you get your website listed up on top for all the organic searches, then you've done a perfect job in search engine optimization and you will get good value out of it. And if you are not listed over here and you want to spend some money, then you can run paid advertisement campaign using search engine marketing and get your website listed up on top over here. So these are the two key techniques, and if you do good job in it, you will be able to attract users from search engine. The second most popular technique is social media marketing. Now, before I talk about social media marketing, you really need to understand what is this social media. What sort of a channel can be classified in the category of social media? And the key is the channel in which user generated content dominates. This is very important, that on all social media channels, what you would see is the user generated content is dominating. You go to facebook.com, what do you see? You don't see content published by editors. You see content published by users, the comments, the likes, the posts. And that's the reason, if you want to market something on social media, you have to master the art of involving your users in your brand promotion. And that is why it has given to a completely separate discipline called social media marketing. Let's just take an example. Suppose I go to my Facebook page right now, and what kind of results are coming on my Facebook page, right? The first and foremost result is, there's somebody, Pratik Shah, he's also a trainer, and he has posted on a group called Digital Marketing Hub something about his business, which is Digital Define. So if one of the things that you can do as a business owner is that you can create a group, like in his group Digital Marketing Hub, there are close to 13,000 odd members. So every time he's posting something on his group, it is actually reaching out to all those 13,000 odd members, and then there are a lot of people who are actually engaging with him on the same, right? Another thing that you can do is you can actually run an ad. Like over here, what you see, this is a sponsored newsfeed post, which is here because Shopify is running this ad. So what I can do is I can actually, they're asking me to download something about the WordPress e-commerce plugin, so I can just download it over here. So then I'll become a lead for them, or I can just like their page. Once I like their page, then I would continue to receive their update which they're posting on their page as well. Another thing that you can do possibly is, if I just come down, for example, here this guy Ashish Chopra, he has shared Explara India photo. So you can actually do postings in such a way that your existing customers, your existing reach is helping you to spread it further. This is like a viral reach. I have not liked Explara India webpage, but still this news is reaching out to me because one of my friends has shared Explara India photo. And if I come down even further, there are some of my personal friends posts, again a friend's post, again a friend post, and then one of my friend has posted about a Times of India video, and that's again on my news feed. So in a way, if you really try to classify the way you can use social media, you can build your organic reach by creating your page or groups like it has been done over here. You can build your paid reach by running various sponsored stories, or you can actually build a viral reach by enabling your users to talk about it and share the news about or the information that you want to be spreaded to users further. So that's a rough idea of what you do when you do social media marketing. The next is the world of email marketing. One of the things that you really need to understand while we are talking about email marketing is that email is still the most used channel of communication. There are somewhere between 4 to 5 billion email accounts worldwide, which is way more than the number of people who are registered on any channel. The bad part about email marketing, or I would say a good part about email marketing, is that it's a free protocol. There is no organization who is controlling the way email has to be used. And that is the reason it is creating a lot of opportunities for businesses. And a lot of businesses think for whom email marketing is working, they really do not come and talk about it. They do not have an incentive to come and talk about it in public. And for a lot of organizations who thinks that email marketing is not all about spamming, they're not really aware of the potential of email marketing. And that is because, since it's a free protocol, not many organizations' stock prices getting impacted if email marketing is becoming popularized, and that's the reason you would not hear too much of a PR around email marketing. But in my opinion, especially in last couple of years, now there are availabilities of tools that can actually help you to do specific behavior targeting that can enable you to generate very high quality response for your emails. I'll try to demonstrate one such tool to you. We actually use this tool called Customer.io for some of our marketing initiatives. So I've just logged into our Customer.io account, and what you see over here, if I look into the people category, there are right now 4,351 people who have registered and who've given us an opt-in to receive an email from our site, and we have sent out close to 38,000 emails. Out of those 38,000 emails, close to 60% were open, which is a good open rate for anybody who's running email marketing campaign, and about 17% of those emails have a link which was being clicked, right? So they've actually moved ahead. 17% of the people have moved ahead and taken the next step that we want them to take, right? So open rate and in fact the click-through rate, these two are the key parameters on the basis of which you measure the effectiveness of an email marketing campaign, right? I'll talk about another technique, which is inbound marketing. Now, what is inbound marketing? It's relatively a new term. Inbound marketing, if I look at the Wikipedia definition of it, inbound marketing refers to marketing activity which bring visitors in, rather than marketing have to go out to get prospects' attention. So as an inbound marketers, you don't go and look for customers. You build your online presence in such a way that your customers are attracted towards you. That is what differentiate inbound marketer from traditional digital marketer. And it is not just restricted to attracting audience. You take the next step forward, which is about moving those visitors. Suppose there's a visitor on your website, you do all kind of a customer, the conversion optimization techniques on the website's landing page to make sure that people really move ahead and take the next step, which is they become your lead or a high potential lead. And once they are the lead, you figure out various ways to nurture those leads. Use various kinds of life cycle emails to nurture leads and make them more closer to sales. Not just that, you keep nurturing your customers, keep serving them well so that they really become your brand evangelizers and start promoting your product and further feed into the interest in your product and services. So that's what inbound marketing is all about. There's no single example, in fact, in which I can actually demonstrate to you the entire customer life cycle. So I'll just take an example of how do you convert users from visitors to lead to demonstrate what inbound marketers really do. Here's a landing page of a company called Flow. Now, landing page is one of the technique that is being used to make sure that your visitors actually convert to leads. And I would like to talk about this particular landing page which they have designed, and I think it has most of the design principles that are needed to be embedded in a landing page. So first and foremost, there was a recent research which suggests that in an online space people have stopped reading, people scan. So if you really look at it, this is a scan friendly landing page. It's not a read friendly landing page, but it's a scan friendly landing page. There's not too much to read, right? Another thing is that there's no call to action on this landing page other than one call to action, which is getting started. In fact, this sign up is also same as getting started. There's just one call to action. There's another call to action, login, which is it's not been given that importance. If you really look at the color saturation of sign up, it is more than anything else on this page. Any other person who would be designing it might have given more weightage to these logos, would have made them colored logo, but they have deliberately ensured that these logos are black and white in color, and there is nothing else on this page which is wherein the color saturation is more than the color saturation of these two call to action. So there is a single call to action which is given the most prominent color on the landing page, and they're really guiding the eye movement in terms of what to look at. They're building the credibility. It is actually known as creating social proof. Creating social proof, right? So they're building the social proof. They are explaining their product in the simplest possible way. They could have done a better job by having the screenshots of the actual product, but they're demonstrating it through these images, which is also good, but they could have done it a little better also. And if you really think about it, they're taking care of the right set of a concern at the right time. The cursor is stopping over here on loading of a page, and then they're talking about create a free account, no credit card required. So this would be a concern of people when they would be about to fill up the form, and they're just addressing it over here through a tooltip. So overall, if you look at it, it's a very well designed landing page which incorporates most of the principles of a good landing page, and that's what comes in this category, which is converting your visitors to lead. You can use conversion optimization principles on your website also, but for a lot of businesses, they actually create separate landing page, and that's what is being done by Flow. And I hope this examples would help you to understand what inbound marketers really do. Another technique that I want to talk about is affiliate marketing. So one thing that I wanted to share with you before I talk about it in detail is that there's a lot of confusion around what affiliate marketing can do. A lot of players in an online space, you would read a lot of articles in an online space which will talk about how do you generate money through online medium, and they would talk about affiliate marketing a lot. So but you really need to understand what affiliate marketing is all about, what is the potential of it, and how to leverage it properly. So to demonstrate it, I'll show you a simple so to demonstrate it, let's use this image. So let me just demonstrate what affiliate marketing is all about. In affiliate marketing, there are fundamentally two parties. One is advertiser, or you can also call as a business owner. And another is a publisher. And if you're somebody who's interested in making money, you would be like a publisher, interested making money through online channels. Right? So if you're interested in making money, what you have to do is you will become one of the publisher. Otherwise, you will be an advertiser or a business owner who has a product, right? So what affiliate marketing is all about? Suppose you are a business owner, you have some product, say your product P1, and you want to sell it, but you do not have reach. You can't reach out to your potential audience. So what you do is you look for those publishers who can help you to reach out to your customers. Suppose you're selling, I'll take an example, you are in the business of selling HR software. You're selling HR software, but you do not have a reach, and there is some blogger out there, who has a blog which is very prominent among HR managers. HR manager goes and read his blog post regularly. So what you do is you will invite that blogger, why don't you become my affiliate? You will try to sign him as an affiliate. And what you would say is that here is my product, I have an HR software product, and you just list my product on your medium, right? And if someone's finally make a purchase, if someone finally buys the product, then I will give you a commission out of it, right? So it is based on the principle called CPA, which is cost per acquisition. So when someone's finally make an acquisition, I'll give you a commission out of it, right? To make this relationship simple, there are a lot of affiliate networks out there like commissionjunction.com, share a sale, and there would be hundreds of them. You can actually use various affiliate networks. These affiliate networks actually provide you the relevant technology and help you to reach out to other party. So if you're a business owner, it will help you to reach out to the right set of bloggers or the right set of publishers. And if creating an online medium, it would help you to reach out to the right set of a business. So overall, this is a win-win situation wherein a blogger, a publisher, the person who has the reach will be able to leverage his reach and generate some revenue for himself, and a business owner will be able to reach out to the audience that they cannot otherwise reach out to. So that's where affiliate marketing is really helpful. Now, if you are interested in making money, so what you fundamentally need is you need to create a media which is popular among a category of people. Finding out the relevant affiliate network and selling other businesses product is easier option. The difficult part is making a media and popularizing it. So for example, if you now have a blog which is being visited by 100,000 visitors every month, it's easier to monetize it. You can look for various affiliate networks. You can use for Amazon has an affiliate network, Google has an AdSense program, or the Commission Junction sale, and you can just embed their software on your blog, and your blog will start making money. So making money is easy only when you are able to create a media with good viewership or good number of visitors on a monthly basis. So it's all boils down to creating a media, which is about using everything in digital marketing, the search engine optimization, email marketing, social media marketing, everything that I've talked about initially. You have to use all those techniques to popularize your medium. If you're able to do that, then you will be able to monetize it and make money out of it. So fundamentally, if you're in an early stage right now, just focus on making your media, and that is more important, right? So that's what affiliate marketing is all about. Another technique that I want to talk about over here is mobile marketing. Now, what is really mobile marketing? So first and foremost, you really need to understand that the usage is getting shifted to mobile device. The usage of web content overall is getting shifted to mobile device. Internally at Digital Vidya, close to 25% of our website traffic comes from mobile. And not just that, 25% of the website traffic, close to 70% of our emails are read on mobile. There are businesses for whom this number is as high as 90%, right? So what that means is, if you're creating a website, suppose we have a website, right? And that website is not mobile friendly. So you would miss out on that 25% of an audience. Or if I'm sending out an email, then I would miss out on 70% if that email cannot be read properly, or the image that I used in an email cannot be displayed properly on mobile device. So I would actually miss out on 70% of my audience. So that's the reason the first thing that you do when you do mobile marketing is make sure that all the online communication from your side is mobile friendly, and that's very, very important. Another thing that you can do when you run mobile marketing campaign, and this is possibly the oldest technique, you run an SMS campaign. Still, the research says, as per the Comscore research, the more than 70% of mobile users use SMS. So it is still the most common and the prominent activity in an online space. Another thing that you do when you do mobile marketing is that you create mobile apps. That's where most of the investment in mobile marketing goes in. It actually helps you to reach out to your audience through notifications without spending a single money. And if you're able to create an mobile app which is sticky enough, which users can stick onto, then you will be able to create a new media that you own as a business. So a lot of businesses are actually investing in creating their own mobile apps, right? So that's what happens in mobile marketing space. What I've shared with you so far is I've shared with you the top key techniques that businesses are using to leverage digital marketing, which are search engine marketing, that was about running paid advertisements on search engines; search engine optimization, which is about coming in the organic listing section of search engines; then coming to the social media marketing, which is about using various social media channels and getting your users involved in your promotional activity; then using email marketing, figuring out a ways to get email ID of your potential employees, taking their opt-ins, and then start sending that email and fulfilling your business objectives; inbound marketing, reaching out to them, converting them; affiliate marketing. So this has two perspectives. From a business perspective, look for customers. from a publisher perspective, look for direct revenue for your medium. And then mobile marketing, which includes a lot of things, including mobile apps and enabling your all the communication from your side mobile friendly. So these are the top techniques that businesses do when they run digital marketing campaigns. The next thing that we are going to look into is which technique is becoming more popular. So I'm sure you would be interested in it, that in future, where is it that digital spending heading towards, and what is it that is popular at this point of time. So my suggestion is that all of you go to this link, google.com/trends. Go to this link. This actually gives you the search trends over last 5 to 6 years. So you will be able to see how the search volume is changing from last 5 years for these terms, and go there and compare. There is an option to compare social media marketing as one term, search engine optimization, search engine marketing, inbound marketing, and email marketing, and see which one is most popular at this point of time on Google search, and which is heading towards leading position in future, right? So that's what you need to do as an exercise. So stop this video right now and do this exercise. I'm assuming you've done it, so I'm just sharing the results with you. I tried to do the same thing. I have compared search engine marketing, search engine optimization, email marketing, inbound marketing, and social media marketing. 5 top digital marketing techniques. And if you look at the results over here, the leading one, I'm sure you would be surprised, the leading one is still email marketing. That is leading right now. And the second most popular over here is social media marketing, right? And it is still maintaining its leading position. The search engine optimization, over a period of time, it has gone down. If you really look at it, from the 3rd position, it has now gone to the 4th position. And the technique that has moved up is inbound marketing. The number of people who are searching for inbound marketing has increased. And here is the result of search engine marketing, and that has come down to some extent. So overall, that's where these techniques are heading, and that will help you to understand where you should focus your attention on. Great. So now we will move to the next stage, which is we'll make sure that each one of us is comfortable with basic terms that are being used in digital marketing. First is, I've tried to categorize it in various categories. The first is email marketing. Some of the terms we've already discussed, we've used in some of the past slides, so I'll just quickly step over them, but I'll try to explain the rest of it. So when we talk about email marketing, if you talk about email marketing campaign with anybody, right, the terms that they would use, one term that they would use is open rate. That is the percentage of users who are opening the email. You remember I showed you a slide about customer.io in which I talked about, I've shown you how the open rate is changing over a period of time. The next is the click rate. So lots of email marketers will talk about open rates and click rate. These are the 2 key primary factors on which you measure a success of an email marketing campaign. Click rate is the number of users or a percentage of users who have actually clicked on the link that has been shared on the email. For most of the email marketing campaign, it is about showing them some information and making them visit a particular page. So how good you're communicating, how good people relate to you, those are the factors on which the click rate is usually depend on. And then there is something called as a bounce rate. That's like the users who have not received your communication. It may be because the email ID doesn't exist anymore, or it may be because it's temporarily it's not operational, that particular email ID. So there could be a lot of reasons for it. But what percentage of the email is getting bounced really talks about the effectiveness of your email list, right? And then there are unsubscribers. So if you're communicating something that people do not need, they would unsubscribe to the email. So that they would have an unsubscribe button in all the email, and they'll click on it, and that's how they would unsubscribe to it. So the number of percentage of your emails which is generating unsubscribers is another critical factor. So if you really think about it, these are the 4 key terms you need to be aware of while you're talking about email marketing. The next, let's talk about search engine optimization. You remember the organic listing that I talked about? So there, one of the terms that is being used is keywords. People talk about what keywords to target, and that's where a good amount of research do happen. You really need to make sure that you pick the relevant set of keywords that your target audience are using. If you pick up irrelevant keywords, all the work that you do in search engine optimization will go waste. So that's why keywords, discussion around keyword research, keyword targeting is critical. The next is ranking. Now ranking is ranking of your website on those keywords. There are various tools that actually helps you to see your ranking for various keywords in various geographies. Google actually rank results differently in different geographies, and sometimes in different cities the results are also different. So you need to see that across various cities for which your target audience are present, what are the ranking that you're getting. So that's another term that you would keep hearing among SEO professionals. Another term is backlink. Now what is backlink? On the website, on an online space, if you have a website, right, and there's another website, your website, you created website for fashion professionals, right? There's another website which is very popular among fashion professionals. If they give a link, they write some content and give a link to your website, then that would become a backlink, right? The more the number of backlink from authority website you're able to generate, the better would be your reputation in the search engine world, right? So that's another important term that is being used by SEO professionals. And then all the traffic that you generate through search engine optimization is known as organic traffic, right? So that's organic traffic. So that's also something that is very, very important. Another set of terms that you use is in the category of web analytics. Now this is something that I'm using for the first time in this presentation. So let me just explain what web analytics is all about. So first and foremost, in digital space, one of the major benefit over traditional media is the list of metrics that are available. It is unthinkable to achieve the same level of measurement in traditional media, right? If you run something on Google, Google will give you its Google centric analysis. You run something on Facebook, Facebook will give you its Facebook centric analysis. Do something on Twitter, Twitter will give you its Twitter centric analysis. Web analytics is about analyzing the performance on the web properties that you own. Like you have a blog, if you have a blog, right? Or if you have a website, or if you've created some community website, right? How are people behaving on those web properties? How do you analyze that? You do that by installing some web analytics tool on these properties. And there are various kinds of web analytics tools that are available, Google has a Google Analytics, then there is a Mixpanel, there is a Kissmetrics, there is another tool by the name as Site Catalyst by Adobe. So there's a whole list of tools that can actually help you to do that. You pick up the right tool based on what set of metrics you want to use to measure the business objectives that you're looking at. The world's most prominent tool is Google Analytics. And when you go to any of the web analytics tool, some of the terms that you would find there, one of the term is sessions. Now what is sessions? When user come to your website and visited various pages, it is counted as one session, right? If the same user is coming 2 times, then it will be counted as 2 sessions. But another critical factor that you need to measure is how many users are coming, and it will vary based on which period you're measuring it. So for example, if you're measuring it for a period of 1 month, you might get X number of visitors. But if you measure over a period of 1 day, that doesn't mean the x, it would be x by 30, right? Maybe there would be a same user who is visiting every day, so on the monthly basis it will be only counted as 1, right? But on the daily basis it will be counted separately for every day. So similarly, you measure the number of users who are coming to your website for a given period of time. So that's another an important metrics when you talk about web analytics. Other is bounce rate. Bounce rate is number of people who are coming to your website and are leaving without going further. So they're just viewing one page and leaving. They're not clicking on any other link or taking any other action. So that's the bounce rate. Other is page views, number of pages that has been viewed. So for example, if there are 100 users who comes to your website and they do 200 sessions, which mean every user on an average has done 2 sessions, right? And they viewed 500 pages. So there's a 500 page views, which means that on an average every user has visited 5 pages, right? So these are the terms that you would occasionally see being talked about when you will hear the conversation about web analytics, right? The next I'll talk about search engine marketing, the paid ads that you run on search engine. What are the terms that is being used? One of the term is CTR, which is click through rate. What you do is you measure the number of ads. So for example, if there's an ad and it generates a click, right? So CTR is number of clicks divided by total number of impressions of that ad into 100, which means the percentage of impressions of the ad that is generating clicks. So for example, if CTR is 2%, that means 2% of the impressions of an ad is generating a click, right? It is actually used to measure the performance of an ad. The higher the CTR, the better is an ad. So for example, if there's an ad with a CTR of 5% and there's an ad with a CTR of 2%, that means 5% CTR ad is better than a 2% CTR ad, because that's where the communication is more relevant for the users, right? Secondly, there's a term called CPC. CPC is same as PPC, which is CPC is cost per click, PPC is pay per click, but both of them means one and the same thing. And then there is a term called CPM. This you might have heard with other media also. This is cost per milli, which is cost per 1,000 impressions. 1,000 impressions. So there are some advertisers who still work on CPM mode. They actually charge for the number of impressions. They don't care for the number of clicks, but they charge their advertisers on the basis of CPM. In fact, you can run a CPM campaign also on search engines if you want. And then there's a term called landing page. Landing page means where that ad will lead to. If someone clicks on an ad, where that will be lead to will be the landing page of that ad, right? So these are some of the terms that is being used by search engine marketers. The next is social media marketing. Now in the world of social media marketing, by the way, you might be getting overwhelmed with a lot of terms. So, but these are the terms you really need to be comfortable with for you to really start talking about social media marketing. So in social media marketing, you will hear terms like likes, like how many likes do your page has, right? Views, how many views a particular post is generated, or how many views is being generated for a particular video. The number of followers, which is very prominent among Twitter. In fact, every channel on social media have different set of metrics. Some of them, for example, views is more or less common, but most of the metrics are actually specific to one channel. Impressions, the number of times a particular piece of content is being displayed is the number of impressions. It could be tweet, it could be a post, it could be anything else also, right? And then comes the world of affiliate marketing, where I've already talked about cost per acquisition. So cost per acquisition. Cost per acquisition, in a way, it's a more result oriented model than cost per click. Here the advertiser has to pay for click, or CPC is more result oriented than CPM, which is cost per milli, cost per 1,000 impressions. So if you have to pay for impressions, then that's your results would be based on the impressions. And if you pay for click, it doesn't matter how many impressions of ad has been generated. The media player is responsible to ensure that your ad is getting clicked. And if you pay for acquisition, then it really doesn't matter how many clicks it is generating also. Ultimately, if someone buys a product, or however you have defined the acquisition, then you pay once somebody really take that action which you've defined as an acquisition, right? And that's where the affiliate marketing comes in, and that's where the affiliate marketing is based on, right? So I hope you're now comfortable with all these terms. The next, let me just check, were you listening to the entire conversation or not? What were the metrics that was used to measure the performance of email marketing campaign? There were primarily 2 metrics. Let's see if you remember them. Just note it down on the piece of paper, and let's proceed further. Let's talk about now the digital marketing role in customer lifecycle. And while listening to this conversation, my invitation is that keep some business in perspective. You will be able to figure out where digital marketing really fits in the business that you've picked up. Right? So first and foremost, digital media now has the reach that is far more than reach of any traditional channel. There are enough numbers to support it. What we really need as digital marketer is we need to understand what are the media consumption habit of our customers. If they're going on search engine optimization, search engines, we have to use search engine optimization and search engine marketing. If they're going to other websites and blogs, we have to somehow figure out a way to run ads over there. If they're accessing online space through email, we need to figure out a way to get their email IDs and start nurturing them and promoting whatever we want to promote. If they're going on social media channels, we have to use social media marketing. If you use these channels in the right possible way, we will be able to get the targeted reach that we are looking at. But next is, what do we do with that reach? How do we really convert that reach to business results? And for that, one of the things that you need to do is you need to take that reach and move them forward to your online presence. And that's where what you're communicating on these channels becomes very critical. If you're communicating the relevant message for relevant users, the relevant traffic will move forward when will come to your online presence, and it could be your website, your blog, or the community portal that you've created. The next big thing that we need to take care as digital marketer is we need to make sure that our online presence is optimized. It is optimized for conversions. People are really moving forward. They're not really getting lost. So we are aware of the various conversion optimization principles. We are using that on our websites. We are designing user flows. We are making communication persuasive such that people are really moving forward from reach to becoming our leads. Okay. There would be a good percentage of online users who would be not ready to move forward in the customer life cycle. There have been recent research which has been done and which suggests that close to 95% of the people who come to a website are not really sales ready. It's not that they're not relevant, but any particular time they're not really ready to make a purchase decision. So what do you do with them? What you do with them is that you try to aggregate them somewhere. There are different ways to stay in touch with them. You actually try to bring those users to one of the platforms where you're staying in touch with them. There are 2 ways to stay in touch with people. One is known as retargeting or remarketing. Retargeting and remarketing enables you to reach out to people who have not even left their contact details. For example, if someone comes to your website and they check out some products and they just leave. Is there a way you can reach out to them? Yes, there's a way to reach out to them using advertisements, which are known as retargeting or remarketing. In fact, there is not much difference between retargeting or remarketing. Google calls it as a remarketing, Facebook calls it as a retargeting. Now, what is this retargeting and remarketing? Those of you not aware of it, let me just explain it to you. Suppose, for example, you go to a website, go to a travel website, say for example you go to cleartrip.com, right, and try to book a flight ticket from Delhi to Mumbai, but don't book it over there, right? Just leave that website. And now if you go to facebook.com, for example, or any other travel portal, you would see an ad of Cleartrip, and the title of the ad would be Delhi to Mumbai ticket. So what Cleartrip is doing is that they are targeting you, they are retargeting you on other platform based on your behavior on cleartrip.com. That is known as retargeting and remarketing campaigns. It's highly effective. Why it's highly effective? Because you already know their behavior. You have already spent a lot to bring them at a first place on your platform. Now it is about providing that extra energy and making sure that they converts. So retargeting and remarketing stays in this section, which is staying in touch. If they are left their contact details, then you aggregate them and you nurture them over there. You can aggregate people over emailers, you can aggregate people on various social media channels, you can aggregate people on any of the discussion forums. It really depends on what kind of a contact details you have and which channel really suits you, right? If you do that job well, if you do retargeting and remarketing well, if you do audience aggregation in a proper way, if you do conversion optimization of your online presence, what you would see is a good percentage of your lead will actually convert into high potential leads. Most of the businesses don't do it. They would create a simple page and they would expect that people will move forward, but there's a lot that needs to be done to make sure to convert the money that you have spent in reaching out to them into converting them into business results. Now typically the role of marketers used to end here. Once the lead is generated, hand over to the sales team, and now sales team will take care of it. But now as a digital marketer, we can play an increasing role in nurturing those leads and making them come more closer to sales using technique called life cycle emails. Life cycle emails, right? It is actually one of the prominent activity in marketing automation, right? That actually helps you to do the lead scoring, nurture them, so that before the sales guys can even pick up the phone and call them, they're already nurtured, and that actually helps in reducing lots of sales effort. And this entire funnel, each single step needs to be optimized for conversions. Also in digital marketing space, there are enough places to spend money. You would not realize where to really put money into unless you have some effective analytics system in place. This would help you to understand where the results are coming from. You will be able to trace back every single result that is happening or not happening back to its source. You will have a complete view of your funnel and you would know where to put the next investment into. And that's the reason analytics is very, very important and critical, right? So this is about the entire customer life cycle. So as you could see over here, that digital marketer has a role to play across entire customer life cycle. It's not just restricted to generating leads or generating reach. Again, thinking time. Take a business and based on what we have discussed in the last slide, make a list of all marketing activities or all marketing objectives that digital marketing can help them fulfill. So if you think that they can help them nurture leads, add that in the list of objectives that can be fulfilled. If you think they can help in reaching out to more number of audience, that could be another objective. if you think that they can help in getting better value out of the website that they've already created, so that could be another objective. So make a list of all the marketing objective that can be fulfilled using digital marketing. So just stop the video right now, do this activity, take a notepad and a pen, complete it, and then come back. As a next step, now we are going to look at what are the real benefits of digital compared to traditional marketing channel. Now, some of you might be aware of most of these benefits, but still it really makes a point to bring it on the forefront. So let me just share it with you. This slide explains the benefits of using digital over traditional. If we compare digital versus print, then how many of us really go and read hard copy of newspapers these days? And that counts the reach or exposure to business. With digital, it's a two-way communication. Means user can add their feedback and reviews about your product and service. This option is not available with print or television advertising. With the flexibility of digital marketing platforms, you can choose the target audience along with customized message for them. With print or television advertisement, you cannot control who see and who does not see your ad. Flexibility with budget is another beautiful feature available with digital marketing. You can define your budget on per day or per month basis, and you can also get an estimation on the kind of results you can expect from the budget. In comparison, on television and print, there is a fixed price advertising on per unit space or per unit time slide basis. With digital marketing, you can measure the value of every penny you spend. Unlike traditional media, you can see in real time what is and what is not working for your business. And you can adapt very quickly to improve your results. For measuring results, lots of tools are available, and by understanding the results and the cause of results, you can make changes in your strategy accordingly. Now let's look into who should learn digital marketing. Definitely everybody needs to build an expertise in digital marketing, right? So I'll try to group it into 4 different categories. One, and the first and the prominent one, is people who are already in the marketing domain. I think it is must for every marketing professional to learn digital marketing. Why I'm saying that is because the entire media spend is increasingly being shifted towards digital. Just think about it and look into the media budget of internally in your organization and see how the media budget has been shifted in last 5 years. And then you can expect what would happen 5 years down the line. Most of the digital marketers will be obsolete if they do not build digital marketing expertise. So I think that's must. For every marketing professional, you need to have an in-depth knowledge of digital marketing. Some of them might be expected to run digital marketing campaigns. Some of them might be expected to handle agencies in digital marketing, or some of them might be expected to build internal team related to digital marketing. But if you do not have an expertise, the chances are that you'll not be able to handle that responsibilities properly. So that's the reason it is must that you build in-depth digital marketing expertise. Another set of people who should consider learning digital marketing is freshers. People who are particularly interested in the marketing as a domain. So if you are if you're already pursuing mass communication course, or if you're doing MBA program, or if you're into any other graduation program and you are interested in doing something which is relatively innovative, creative, and something wherein something new is happening every day, that's the kind of thing that excites you, you should definitely consider building career in digital marketing. And to explore that, what you need to do is you need to learn digital marketing, right? Another set of people who should build an in-depth understanding are entrepreneurs and business owners. If you own your own business, irrespective of the fact whether you would be handling digital marketing on your own or not, you need to have digital marketing expertise. There are lots of agencies, freelancers out there who would be willing to help you, but without your understanding of digital media, the chances are that digital marketing will not work for you properly. There are a lot of things that needs to be handled internally in an organization. Everything about digital marketing cannot be outsourced. And even if you're outsourcing it, you need to know what results it can provide to you so that you can create an overall business strategy. And that's where learning digital marketing is important for entrepreneurs. And I think the fourth category are people from other domains who want to leverage digital media. So people like HR professionals, for example, right? The product professionals, people who are from finance domain, who wants to join the upcoming e-commerce venture. So they are expected to know how digital marketing works because they need to accordingly look for the right financial decisions, right? Product professionals, as I explained to you earlier as well, for most of the product management initiatives, digital media can be used, and if they do not have that understanding, they would probably not be able to use it. In fact, for most of the people, if you've inbuilt promotional feature in your product, the chances are that your product would be successful in the day one. And for HR professionals, again, since the potential employees are there in digital and your internal employees are also using digital, if you do not have an understanding about it, you don't know how that the whole digital revolution would be impacting the organization. So that's the reason they should also come up and learn digital marketing. Now let's look into some of the frequently asked questions in digital marketing domain. This is one of the common questions that has been asked by all the freshers. What skills do I need to build a career in digital marketing? I think primarily there are two skills. One, you need to be really good with content. If you're doing any campaign on digital marketing, you will be involved in creating a lot of promotional content. It could be in the form of tweets, it could be in the form of posts that you would post on Facebook, it could be in the form of creating videos, it could be in the form of writing blog posts, or some articles on the website, or presentations. So you create this content, definitely it has to be correct, it has to be appropriate as per the overall brand positioning, but it has to be something that encourage engagement. That's one thing that really defines content in an online space. So if you're somebody who is very good with content, there is a good chance that you will succeed in digital marketing. Another skill that is needed is you should be good with analytics. As I mentioned earlier, in digital marketing space, there are lots of metrics that you can measure. So at most of the times you would be creating reports, analyzing those reports, and trying to look into what are the strategic changes that needs to be done in further digital marketing campaigns. So for that, if you have a good analytical skills, if you're good with numbers, you can succeed. These are the only two skill set that is needed. I've seen people who are not even graduates, they've performed really well as digital marketers. And so in terms of your educational qualification, it really doesn't matter. If you're somebody who have MBA as an educational qualification, or if you've done some courses related to mass communication, it definitely helps. But fundamentally, these are the two skills that are needed to succeed as digital marketer. Another prominent question that has been asked by a lot of entrepreneurs is, can I use digital marketing for my business? Most of the people are not sure whether it will work for them or not. And it's a genuine concern. So first thing that you need to understand is you need to figure out whether your customers, your target audience, which could be your customers, the influencers in your space, are on digital or not. digital media or not. This is the first thing that you really need to validate. If you can take that as a litmus test, if your target audience are on digital media, then you need to use digital marketing, and only thing that is left is that you being creative enough. So first of all, how will you figure that out? You can actually check out the social behavior, and to check social behavior you can actually use Facebook ads. Facebook ads give you real-time estimate of how many people are there on Facebook for various segments. For example, if you're looking at how many women interested in cooking in Mumbai are there on Facebook, Facebook can tell you in real time. So you have to go to Facebook ads, suggest various interest segments that you're looking at, and Facebook will give you a real-time estimate. So that would really help you to understand from the social behavior perspective, are people there or not. And the second you need to do is you need to look at the search behavior. And that is done using a tool called Keyword Planner, which is being provided by Google AdWords. So what you have to do is you have to create an account on Google AdWords. You would need a credit card for that, but otherwise Google Keyword Planner is free of cost. This will give you a real-time estimate on number of searches that are happening on the keywords that are related to your domain on monthly basis in the geography that you're looking at. So this will give you a fair enough search behavior estimate. This will give you a fair enough social behavior estimate. You will get a fair enough idea whether the people whom you are looking at, whom you are targeting, are they there in an online space or not. Another thing that you should do is you can also survey or talk to your customers and ask for their digital behavior. If they are using digital channels, some specific digital channels, you will be able to get to know after this you've done the survey in a proper way. So this 3 activities will give you a good enough estimate on whether your target audience are there on digital media or not. And finally, if the answer comes out to be yes, that yes they are on digital media, then only thing that is left is you being creative enough. Another thing that you need to check is whether it make business sense. To use digital marketing or not. So for example, if you're selling something that is priced at rupees 200 per unit, right? And the cost of generating lead using online media is coming down to 500 rupees per unit. So that means it will not make sense for you to use digital marketing in the form you are anticipating. So what you really need to do then is, first of all, try out various medium and figure out the right channel which can actually give you lead at the cost you are looking at. You may not get it at the volume that you're looking at, but first and foremost you need to make sure that you're getting it at the cost you're looking at. You should empirically test it out using paid campaigns on various platforms. The good part about digital is that you will be able to spend a portion of your budget and will be able to test the results. So you can scale up your campaign later, but initially start with a very small budget and then test it out whether it is making business sense for you to run a campaign on those platforms or not. So I think if that's possibly the process that I can recommend that will help you to figure out whether digital marketing will make sense for your business or not. Another common question which is usually been asked is, will I get a job if I learn digital marketing? And I'll try to answer these questions for different segments of users separately. Let's take the first segment. For example, if you're a fresher, whether you're an MBA or you've done some graduation level program, I'm assuming that you have good content and analytical skills, and now you're looking to switch to digital marketing or start your career in the digital marketing space. Finding out job opportunities in digital marketing is relatively easy. And the reason for that is there are enough opportunities out there. There are not good enough skilled digital marketing professionals. There's a shortage of that, and if you want to test it out, what you can do is you can go to any of the job portals like naukri.com or shine.com or imsjobs.com and search for profiles related to digital marketing, online marketing, web marketing. The total number of profiles that you will find will be listed will be way above the profiles that are listed for even the traditional domains like finance. So that would give you a fair enough idea in terms of the number of job opportunities that are there, right? Only thing that is needed, as I mentioned, is that you need to be good with content and analytical skills, and that's it. Finding a job as a fresher in digital marketing is not that difficult. Second category of people are the people who are experienced, and I would like to divide those set of people in two categories. You're experienced in marketing and related domains, or you're experienced in unrelated domain. For example, you are in accounts, or you are in IT, right? Or you've done work in HR, right? And now you want to switch over to digital marketing, right? So let me try to address both of these categories separately. So if you're already experienced in marketing and related domain, in any case, you are expected to have in-depth digital marketing. Digital marketing would be an add-on to your existing profile. My recommendation is, do not plan to make a complete switch over to digital marketing. Add it as a secondary skill set, and you will be able to find better job opportunities with the same skill sets that you already have, right? If you want to switch over completely to digital marketing, that is also possible in some of the cases, because in most of the job profiles, your past marketing experience will be added and will be considered for the future profiles. If you're experienced in other domains, which is unrelated to digital marketing, and say if you have 10 years of experience, right, in accounts, and you do a 6 months course in digital marketing, right? So now at the end of the course, what you have is you're still a 10 years experienced account professional with a good digital knowledge, right? So there, what you should do is you should look for opportunities wherein your past experience is getting validated and a digital marketing knowledge is needed. For example, look for the accounts job in various e-commerce ventures. Right? They would want you to understand how customers are acquired in an online space, how media spend happens, because you need to accordingly estimate and calculate various numbers. So digital marketing would become a secondary skill set, but it will not become your primary skill set. After 10 years of experience, by doing any training program, it would be very difficult for you to shift your primary skill set, right? And the same is true about people with other domains. You have to look for opportunities wherein the experience of your existing experience is also getting counted, and then they're looking for good knowledge of digital marketing also. Among all the categories, this would be possibly the most difficult one, because that's where you're making a significant change in your existing career, right? Another set of people are people who are already in digital marketing, already in digital marketing. One of the change that I'm observing is that few years back, people used to look for SEO professionals or SEM professionals, and now there is an increased demand for generic digital marketing profiles. And overall, one thing that we have observed is that people who stick to a particular technique of digital marketing, after a while, their career becomes stagnant. For most of the strategic related decisions, generic digital marketing profile is needed, wherein the people have experience across various techniques of digital marketing. So that's the reason it is important for every person who has been exposed to a particular technique of digital marketing to grow and make their profile more generic. And that's where learning digital marketing really helps. So this would definitely help to scale up your career in future. So I think that some idea on the kind of job opportunities you should look at based on where you are in your career at this point of time. So that's all what I wanted to communicate